The flight attendant asked if anyone had military experience. She stayed silent while passengers died. Flight 447 cruised at 35,000 feet, carrying 187 souls through the crisp Tuesday afternoon sky. In seat 4B, a blonde woman in her early 30s sat between two loud passengers, her paperback novel a thin shield against their conversations. She wore simple jeans and an oversized sweater, the kind of unremarkable outfit designed to make someone invisible, but there was something about her posture, the way she held her shoulders, the calculated alertness in her eyes that suggested she had never been ordinary. Meanwhile, high above the clouds, the same woman, a passenger on Flight 447, sat calmly as the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing a medical emergency in the cockpit. Passengers began to panic, a low murmur of fear rippling through the cabin. A flight attendant frantically called for help, her voice strained. Yet the camera seemed to focus on the woman, her eyes calm, calculating, observing everything around her with an unsettling intensity. Without a word, she unbuckled her seatbelt and stood, the quiet click echoing in the rising panic. "Sit down, lady," a passenger shouted, his voice laced with fear and irritation. The woman's response was quiet, almost a whisper, yet it cut through the noise. "I've got this." What happened next would make headlines worldwide and reveal a secret the Air Force tried to bury. But who was she really, and why did her past terrify those who knew the truth? Her stillness in the face of mounting chaos was a stark contrast to the unfolding drama, hinting at a depth far beyond what anyone on that plane could fathom. The ordinary facade was about to crumble, revealing something extraordinary beneath. United Airlines Flight 447, a Boeing 757, cruised at 35,000 feet on a Tuesday afternoon, heading from Denver to Seattle. The business class section, with its clear social hierarchy, was a microcosm of the world below. Corporate executives discussed million-dollar contracts, their voices booming with self-importance. Military personnel on leave shared war stories, comparing ranks and combat experiences with a camaraderie that excluded outsiders. Affluent travelers sipped champagne, oblivious to anything beyond their own comfort. Sarah Chen, the protagonist, occupied seat 4B, a middle seat, squeezed uncomfortably between two loud passengers. In her early 30s, with blonde hair pulled back simply, she wore simple jeans and an oversized sweater, deliberately trying to be invisible. Yet, despite her civilian clothes, a distinct military bearing was evident. Her posture was ramrod straight, her eyes alert, constantly scanning, and her movements controlled and precise. She spoke only when directly addressed, deflecting personal questions with polite vagueness, a subtle wall around herself. This quiet demeanor stood in stark contrast to the boisterous group of antagonists occupying the surrounding seats. Marcus Hartwell, a senior vice president at a defense contractor, held court in seat 4A, his voice loud and entitled, dominating the conversation. Colonel James Mitchell, an active Air Force officer returning from visiting the Pentagon, sat in seat 3A, his uniform hinting at authority. Rebecca Sterling, in seat 2A, radiated a trophy wife mentality, interjecting with superficial remarks. Captain Ryan Torres, a young hotshot pilot in seat 5A, exuded a cocky attitude, adding to the cacophony of self-importance. The initial social dynamics were clear, a pecking order based on wealth, rank, and gender. The business travelers discussed their high-stakes deals, while the military personnel exchanged anecdotes of real service. Sarah was positioned as the obvious outsider, her attire, her seat, and her quiet background setting her apart from the affluent and the authoritative. Men dominated the conversation about military service, relegating women to supportive roles or dismissing them entirely. Colonel Mitchell made casual, sexist remarks about desk jobs for ladies, and Rebecca Sterling reinforced these stereotypes, her giggling assent grating on the ears. Sarah maintained her calculated invisibility, deliberately avoiding eye contact during their military discussions. She did not correct their misconceptions about female service members, though subtle physical reactions betrayed her internal struggle, a slight tightening of her jaw, a controlled rhythm to her breathing. She demonstrated disciplined emotional control, choosing silence over confrontation, A silent battle waged within. The group naturally formed around her seat, their conversation deliberately shifting to insider military terminology, excluding her. Marcus Hartwell made a condescending comment about civilians not understanding sacrifice, his eyes sweeping over her dismissively, oblivious to the dramatic irony. Her hands, though she kept them hidden, showed the calluses of rigorous weapons training. Unconsciously, her eyes scanned the exits, assessing potential threats, a habit ingrained from years of vigilance. Her knowledge of aircraft systems was evident in subtle glances, a quick assessment of the cabin's integrity. For a fleeting moment, her phone lock screen briefly displayed a military insignia before she quickly hid it, a secret glimpsed and then concealed. The discomfort in Sarah's silent space began to escalate. Marcus commented on pretty girls getting free upgrades, his tone laced with insinuation. Colonel Mitchell readily agreed, suggesting she didn't belong in business class, his words adding to the subtle assault. Rebecca Sterling joined in, feigning feminine solidarity while delivering a condescending remark. Sarah maintained her composure, continuing to read her paperback novel, but her knuckles whitened slightly, a silent testament to the mounting pressure. The group's conversation became increasingly exclusive and military-focused, direct questions about her husband's service revealing their assumption that she was merely a military wife. Her polite deflections were interpreted as ignorance or deception, and the tension built as her silence became more noticeable, more suspicious. Hidden competence hints emerged as she unconsciously tracked flight patterns and navigation, noticing structural details others missed. Her situational awareness far exceeded that of a typical passenger, and there was a brief moment where she almost intervened in a technical discussion, then stopped herself, pulling back into her shell. A flight attendant seemed to recognize her but did not approach, a silent acknowledgement of a shared secret. Her carry-on bag contained items that didn't match her civilian appearance, hinting at a life beyond the ordinary. She received an encrypted text message, which she quickly deleted, a fleeting glimpse into a clandestine world. The name tag on her bag was partially obscured, but military-style formatting was clearly visible to a discerning eye. Sarah's internal conflict brewed, the desire for self-preservation warring with her innate integrity. Growing frustration simmered beneath her calm exterior, fueled by the group's assumptions and dismissals. Suppressed anger at systemic gender discrimination gnawed at her, alongside a deep sadness about a lost identity and an abandoned calling. The group's confidence and arrogance reached a peak, their collective dismissal of her complete and deliberate. The stage was set for a dramatic reversal when an emergency would force her hidden nature to surface. The reader, now increasingly aware that this simple woman was anything but ordinary, waited with bated breath for the inevitable. But 30 minutes into the flight, everything changed when the passenger in seat 3B started choking. The elderly passenger, George Whitman, a man of 67 years, began to choke violently on airline peanuts, his struggles quickly drawing attention. Flight crew members rushed to his aid, attempting the Heimlich maneuver, but their efforts proved futile. The man's face turned blue and he lost consciousness, his body slumping in his seat. The flight attendant's voice, now laced with genuine panic, echoed over the intercom, calling for medical assistance. The group of antagonists, moments ago so self-assured, reacted with varying degrees of inadequacy. Marcus Hartwell, ever the opportunist, pulled out his phone and began filming the incident, presumably for social media, his detached focus sickening. Colonel Mitchell, despite his boasts of battlefield first aid, froze when faced with a civilian medical crisis, his bravado crumbling. Rebecca Sterling screamed, her shrill cries adding to the chaos and doing nothing to help. Captain Torres, the hotshot pilot, suggested an emergency landing, but offered no immediate practical assistance, his supposed expertise failing him in the face of real danger. Sarah, observing the unfolding tragedy, recognized the advanced airway obstruction, a situation requiring surgical intervention, not mere first aid. She knew she possessed the skills to save him, but revealing her competence meant exposing the carefully constructed anonymity she had painstakingly built. A brutal internal conflict raged, the stranger's life against her own carefully guarded secret. A flashback, swift and painful, flickered in her mind. A similar incident during a classified mission, a memory that still haunted her. Ultimately, Sarah made a choice. She chose silence. The elderly passenger died. She remained seated, her white-knuckled grip on her paperback novel, the only outward sign of her internal turmoil. Her internal monologue, a torrent of medical training and tactical experience, revealed the agonizing depth of her decision, demonstrating the profound psychological damage from her past trauma. The group's reactions were immediate and condemnatory. Marcus openly criticized useless passengers who won't help, his gaze pointedly fixed on Sarah. Colonel Mitchell made pointed comments about civilian cowardice, his voice dripping with disdain. Rebecca Sterling questioned Sarah directly, her voice accusatory. "How can you just sit there?" Captain Torres chimed in, suggesting she had probably never seen a real crisis. The verbal assault escalated. "Typical pretty girl. Think someone else will handle it," Marcus sneered, his disdain palpable. "This is why women don't belong in combat roles," Colonel Mitchell declared, his voice heavy with prejudice. "At least pretend to care about human life," Rebecca added, her false feminine solidarity mixed with condescension. "Bet she's never been in a real emergency." Torres scoffed, dismissing her entirely. The tension in the cabin was suffocating, thick with judgment and self-righteousness. Just as despair seemed to settle in, a mysterious intervention occurred. Dr. Amanda Foster, seated in 1A, a civilian trauma surgeon who had been quiet until now, rose with purpose. She performed an emergency cricothyrotomy, a swift and precise surgical procedure, saving the passenger's life. During the procedure, Dr. Foster, with a keen eye, noticed Sarah's micro-expressions and subtle body language. She recognized Sarah's suppressed medical knowledge and tactical assessment, a silent communication between two highly trained individuals. After saving the passenger, Dr. Foster approached Sarah privately. "I know what you did back there," she stated, her voice low but firm, "and I know why." She then revealed her own past. She was a former Navy medical officer. Her gaze fell upon Sarah's wrist, where a call-sign tattoo, Widow 27, was partially visible beneath her sleeve. The unveiling had begun. Dr. Foster's confrontation was direct and powerful. "Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, Combat Rescue Officer, 24th Special Tactics Squadron," she declared, her words cutting through the lingering tension. "3 Purple Hearts, Silver Star, and Medal of Honor recipient." Her voice grew more resonant. "The woman who saved 47 lives in the Kandahar hospital siege." Then, with a somber tone, she added, "until Operation Nightfall went wrong." Sarah's meticulously constructed facade cracked for the first time. The weight of carrying classified trauma, of a past she desperately tried to bury, became evident. "I couldn't save them then, I won't fail again," she whispered, a raw admission of her deepest fear. She admitted that she left because the system broke me, not the enemy. The group, who had been so quick to judge, stood in shock. Marcus stopped mid-insult, his face paling as the realization of his colossal mistake dawned on him. Colonel Mitchell's eyes widened. He recognized her name from classified briefings, a name whispered in hollowed halls. Rebecca Sterling, frantically scrawling on her phone, confirmed Dr. Foster's claims through social media research, her face contorting with a mix of embarrassment and disbelief. Captain Torres, the cocky young pilot, finally understood he had been insulting a living legend, his arrogance deflating into profound shame. Sarah's trauma response became clear, explaining her choice of silence as a form of self-preservation. PTSD triggers around medical emergencies, coupled with the guilt over a classified mission failure that ended her career, fueled her fear of public exposure and judgment. The group was forced to reconcile their assumptions with the astonishing reality before them, leading to a profound cognitive dissonance. Embarrassment at their treatment of a war hero warred with defensive reactions to protect their own egos. A grudging respect mixed with lingering skepticism began to form. The reader experienced a profound satisfaction, a dramatic irony payoff as Sarah's hidden competence was confirmed, validating the earlier subtle clues. Anticipation for the full story revelation built, and a sense of justice for the protagonist's mistreatment filled the air. Sarah's vulnerability beneath her competence was exposed, and the group's shallow judgments were laid bare. Dr. Foster emerged as a powerful ally and truth-teller, setting the stage for deeper backstory exploration. The hook forward was undeniable, as Dr. Foster urged, "Tell them about Operation Nightfall, Sarah. Tell them why Widow 27 really disappeared. Sarah's hesitation suggested darker secrets yet to be revealed, and the group was now fully invested in learning the truth, their previous contempt replaced by a desperate curiosity. The stakes had been dramatically raised, reputation, identity, and justice all now in play. What do you think happened during Operation Nightfall that forced a Medal of Honor recipient into hiding? Dr. Foster, relentless in her pursuit of the truth, forced the conversation, sharing classified details she knew, details that peeled back the layers of Sarah's meticulously constructed anonymity. Sarah Chen, she revealed, was the youngest female combat rescue officer in Air Force history. Her call sign, Widow 27, was earned not from tragedy, but from triumph. 27 successful rescue missions in hostile territory. She specialized in high-risk medical extractions behind enemy lines, a ghost in the shadows, saving lives where others dared not tread. The Kandahar hospital siege of 2019 was a testament to her unparalleled courage. A terrorist attack on a civilian hospital with over 200 patients and staff trapped inside became her crucible. Sarah's team, 8 elite operators, were inserted for a mass casualty evacuation. For 12 grueling hours, under continuous fire, they evacuated critical patients, Sarah personally carrying wounded civilians through the combat zone. She saved 47 lives, including 12 children and pregnant women, a testament to her unwavering dedication. Then came Operation Nightfall, her final mission before her disappearance from service. A high-value target extraction in Syria in 2021, the mission was compromised by an intelligence leak. Sarah's team walked into a brutal ambush, 6 killed in action, 2 wounded. In that hellish moment, Sarah faced an impossible choice: save her team or complete the mission. The high-value target was an American journalist held by terrorists, and his extraction required leaving her wounded teammates behind. Sarah chose to save her team. The journalist was executed on camera. The media, always hungry for a scapegoat, blamed the military's incompetence for the journalist's death. Sarah's identity was leaked, and she became the political scapegoat for a monumental failure. Congressional hearings questioned her judgment. Male colleagues distanced themselves to protect their own careers, and gender-based attacks mounted, accusing her of being too emotional for command decision. Death threats from the journalist's family and a misled public forced her into an unbearable spotlight. She was forced into retirement with full honors, a hollow gesture that could not repair her destroyed reputation. The psychological toll was immense. PTSD from watching her teammates die, survivor's guilt over the journalist's death, and the profound betrayal by the military system she had served faithfully shattered her. She lost her identity, her purpose, and retreated into anonymity as a desperate act of self-protection. The group, now privy to the harrowing truth, underwent a profound transformation. Marcus Hartwell, his face pale, frantically Googled Widow 27 and Operation Nightfall. He found classified documents leaked to the press, confirming every chilling detail. He realized Sarah was awarded the Medal of Honor for Kandahar, and a wave of profound shame washed over him as he realized his defense contractor company had profited from the very conflicts she had fought in. His earlier behavior, born of ignorance and arrogance, now seemed grotesque. Colonel Mitchell, his face etched with a newfound understanding, remembered the classified briefings about Operation Nightfall. He knew the political pressure to find a scapegoat, and he recognized that Sarah had sacrificed her career to save her team. He understood the impossible position she had been placed in, and a sense of military brotherhood long dormant finally kicked in. Rebecca Sterling, her social media research revealing a truth far more complex than she could have imagined, found tribute videos from the families Sarah had saved. She learned about the insidious gender discrimination in the military and realized her own complicity in perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Guilt, sharp and biting, consumed her for participating in Sarah's humiliation. Captain Torres, the cocky hotshot, was humbled. He recognized Sarah's tactical knowledge far exceeded his own, and he finally understood the immense weight of combat command decisions. His hotshot attitude paled next to such real heroism, and he was profoundly ashamed of questioning her courage. The living legend had been revealed. Dr. Foster continued to testify, sharing stories from other military medical personnel, describing Sarah's legendary status among special operations. She revealed Sarah's innovations in combat medicine, explaining why her silence during the choking incident was a trauma response, not cowardice. Sarah, with quiet dignity, didn't defend herself or seek sympathy. She explained her actions without excuses, demonstrating grace under the immense pressure of exposure, the very leadership that had made her legendary. Dr. Foster revealed that she had served in the same theater, knew the families Sarah had saved who still honored her, and understood the impossible choices inherent in combat medicine. He validated Sarah's trauma and sacrifice, a beacon of understanding in the swirling emotional storm. The dramatic reversal was swift and absolute. From contempt to profound respect, the group's emotions shifted. Marcus apologized publicly to the entire cabin, his voice raw with regret. Colonel Mitchell requested a private word, offering career assistance, his tone now one of sincere admiration. Rebecca Sterling, her face tear-streaked, immediately deleted her social media posts mocking Sarah, a tangible act of remorse. Captain Torres, humbled and seeking guidance, asked for tactical advice about his own deployments. Other passengers, overhearing the revelations, shared Sarah's story, and the flight crew, learning her identity, offered a first-class upgrade, which she politely declined. Children on the plane, wide-eyed with wonder, approached for autographs. Sarah maintained her humble demeanor despite the overwhelming recognition. Sarah revealed that she chose anonymity to protect the families she had saved, explaining that the media attention had endangered those she rescued. Her sacrifice extended far beyond her military service, demonstrating an ongoing commitment to others' safety over personal recognition. This was Sarah's healing moment. For the first time, she shared her story without judgment, receiving validation from peers who truly understood military service. She began the slow, arduous process of reclaiming her identity, an identity stolen by political scapegoating. The group was forced to confront their prejudices and assumptions, realizing the harm of casual sexism and stereotyping, and understanding the true cost of their judgmental attitudes. They began the process of making amends, a collective awakening. The new dynamic was clear. Sarah was no longer hiding, but she wasn't seeking attention either. The group had transformed from antagonists to allies, respect earned through truth, not performance. The stage was now set for Sarah's choice about her future. Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and helping others? What would you have done in Sarah's position? The collective attitude shift was palpable, radiating through the cabin. Marcus Hartwell, utterly transformed, publicly apologized to the entire cabin section, his voice tinged with genuine remorse. He offered his first-class seat to Sarah, an offer she gracefully declined, maintaining her humble demeanor. More than that, he immediately contacted his company's veteran hiring program, determined to make a tangible difference. He deleted all his social media posts, mocking military service, a silent acknowledgement of his past ignorance, and privately asked Sarah how he could support veteran causes. Colonel Mitchell, his military honor fully engaged, requested a formal introduction and rendered a crisp salute, a profound gesture of respect. He offered to write recommendation letters for any position Sarah might consider, recognizing her immense capabilities. He shared classified knowledge of her mission's political complications, acknowledging the impossible position she had been placed in, and promised to correct misconceptions about her in his influential circles. Rebecca Sterling, her eyes tearfully apologetic, realized her privilege and casual cruelty. She began researching female veterans' issues with genuine intent, offering to use her social media platform for veteran awareness, asking Sarah about effective ways to support military families. Captain Torres, utterly humbled, acknowledged Sarah's superior tactical knowledge without reservation. He requested mentorship about combat leadership, openly admitting his inexperience with real combat decisions. He offered to defer to her expertise in future situations, beginning to question his own ingrained assumptions about gender and capability. The recognition of Sarah's heroism spread rapidly throughout the cabin. Dr. Foster's medical story, intertwined with Sarah's secret, passed from passenger to passenger. Veterans on the flight recognized her call sign and medals, a silent brotherhood acknowledging one of their own. The flight crew learned her identity from passenger conversations, their respect evident in their deferential gestures. Children, wide-eyed with admiration, approached for autographs and photos, seeing a true hero. Business travelers, now aware of her extraordinary background, offered job opportunities eager to recruit such talent. Sarah, despite the overwhelming recognition, maintained her humble demeanor, focusing on others rather than accepting praise. She shared credit with her fallen teammates, honoring their sacrifice, and deflected attention to current active duty personnel, demonstrating leadership through quiet example. A powerful ripple effect spread. Passengers began sharing their own military connections, stories of sacrifice and service emerging throughout the cabin. Group discussions about supporting veterans replaced the earlier superficial chatter, and a collective shame settled over the casual dismissal of service members. A new respect for the hidden struggles of military personnel bloomed. As the plane prepared for its descent into Seattle, a pivotal choice moment loomed for Sarah. Local news crews, alerted by passenger social media posts, were already at the airport. Job offers from passengers, including those from defense contractors, presented an opportunity to reclaim her public identity and career. Yet it also carried the significant risk of renewed media attention and political scrutiny, a past she desperately wanted to escape. Her internal conflict raged. The fear of returning to public scrutiny warred with the desire to honor her fallen teammates' memory. A deep sense of responsibility to other veterans facing similar struggles, coupled with her personal need for purpose and identity, pulled at her. Above all, her protective instinct for the families she had previously saved weighed heavily. Then came the catalyst. A young military spouse, her face tear-streaked, approached with a crying baby. She shared a heartbreaking story of her husband's PTSD and career struggles, asking Sarah for advice about handling military bureaucracy. In that poignant moment, Sarah's choice between hiding and helping crystallized. She realized her continued silence enabled the very discrimination and systemic failures that had broken her. With newfound resolve, Sarah made her climactic decision. As the final approach announcement echoed through the cabin, she stood, her quiet dignity commanding attention. She addressed the entire cabin about veteran issues, her voice clear and strong. She shared her personal story of discrimination and betrayal, her vulnerability a powerful weapon. She called for support of military personnel, especially women, and, in a moment of profound reclamation, she stated her identity, Widow 27. Her speech was powerful. She honored her fallen teammates by name, giving voice to their sacrifice, and explained the true cost of Operation Nightfall, stripping away the political obfuscation. She challenged stereotypes about female military service, demonstrating leadership through vulnerability, transforming her personal trauma into public advocacy. The group's final transformation was complete. Marcus pledged his company's resources to veteran employment, a tangible commitment. Colonel Mitchell committed to addressing military sexism within his ranks, a promise of institutional change. Rebecca Sterling, now deeply committed, became an advocate for military families, using her platform for good. Captain Torres, humbled and eager to learn, promised to mentor with humility, shedding his former arrogance. Dr. Foster, a steadfast ally, offered medical support for veteran healthcare initiatives. From victim to leader, Sarah transformed, empowering others through her own painful journey. She used her platform to address systemic military issues, demonstrating that true strength includes vulnerability, and showing leadership through service, not dominance. She became a symbol of resilience and grace. The collective awakening was profound. Passengers realized their complicity in veteran struggles and committed to concrete actions supporting the military. An understanding dawned. Respect must be earned through action, and assumptions harm real people. A collective responsibility for creating change emerged as they transformed from antagonists to allies. Sarah's quiet dignity was more powerful than any loud declaration. Her actions spoke louder than words or medals. True leadership had emerged through crisis and choice, her strength demonstrated through helping others, her legacy built through service, not recognition. This was Sarah's ultimate healing, publicly owning her story without shame, receiving validation from peers who understood military service. She transformed trauma into purpose, reclaiming her identity and integrating her past service with a new future mission. The group's growth was undeniable, forced to confront their prejudices, understanding the hidden costs of military service, and committing to supporting rather than judging. They recognized their power to create change and transformed from antagonists to allies. The new Sarah was no longer hiding, nor was she seeking attention. She was focused on service rather than recognition, comfortable with her identity and choices, ready to face whatever came next, and prepared to use her platform responsibly. What does real leadership look like to you? Share your thoughts about Sarah's transformation. As the plane touched down in Seattle, everything had changed forever. A flurry of media presence greeted the passengers. Local news crews, alerted by eager passenger social media posts, swarmed the tarmac. Veterans organizations had gathered, their banners fluttering in the wind, ready to welcome Sarah. Airport security created a pathway through the throng, but Sarah maintained her composure despite the unexpected attention, choosing to walk directly through the crowd rather than avoid it. The reception was overwhelming and deeply moving. Families she had saved in Kandahar were waiting, holding welcome signs, their faces etched with gratitude. Widows of her former teammates stood silently, holding photos of fallen soldiers, their eyes holding a shared grief and respect. Current military personnel in crisp dress uniform rendered salutes, acknowledging a true hero. Children holding "Thank You Widow 27" posters reached out to her. It was a powerful demonstration of her impact, extending far beyond one flight. Sarah stopped at each family group, remembering their stories, her quiet words bringing comfort. She knelt to speak with children at eye level, her warmth genuine. She embraced the widows of her fallen teammates, sharing their unspoken pain, and acknowledged each veteran with personal recognition, demonstrating the profound leadership that had made her legendary. Then came the final twist, the real revelation. Her airport arrival revealed that Sarah had never truly disappeared. She had been quietly working with veteran suicide prevention. Her anonymous donations to military families traced back to her, an underground network of support she had meticulously built over 3 years. Her hiding was in fact a deeper service to the community. Her civilian job was that of a crisis counselor for a veteran hotline, using her Medal of Honor pension to support military families. She had developed PTSD treatment protocols specifically for special operations personnel, a silent innovation born of her own suffering. She mentored female veterans facing discrimination, a quiet beacon of hope, and created a scholarship fund for the children of fallen soldiers, ensuring their future. Operation Nightfall, she revealed, was not her failure, but her awakening. She realized that systemic change required a different battlefield, one fought in the shadows of quiet service. She chose impact over recognition, service over status, building her legacy through quiet action rather than public glory, transforming her personal trauma into collective healing. Marcus Hartwell, now truly reformed, made a final, powerful gesture. He publicly announced his company's veteran hiring initiative, crediting Sarah's example for changing his corporate culture. He committed to addressing defense contractor treatment of veterans, acknowledging the moral contradiction between profit and service. He had transformed from an antagonist to a genuine ally. Colonel Mitchell, his face reflecting profound respect, officially requested Sarah's return to active duty, offering her a position developing new combat rescue protocols, a testament to her unparalleled expertise. He acknowledged the military's failure to protect her and committed to addressing systemic gender discrimination, representing institutional change through personal growth. Rebecca Sterling, now a passionate advocate, launched a social media campaign supporting military families, sharing her own transformation story publicly. She challenged other military spouses to examine their privileges, becoming a powerful voice for veteran mental health awareness, demonstrating authentic change through sustained action. Captain Torres, his humility now profound, requested a transfer to combat rescue specialty, asking to train under Sarah's former protocols. He acknowledged his inexperience and privilege, committing to learning from rather than dismissing female colleagues, representing a new generation of military leadership. The true victory was Sarah's choice to remain in service, not to return to glory. It was the recognition that real change happens through daily choices, the understanding that leadership means lifting others up, and the demonstration that strength includes vulnerability. Her legacy was built through impact, not recognition. The ripple effect was immense. Passengers became advocates for veteran issues. The flight crew implemented a veteran recognition program, and airport workers shared stories of hidden heroes. Media coverage focused on veterans' support rather than individual glory, a testament to the collective action emerging from a single encounter. Sarah returned to her crisis counseling work, continuing to build her network of veteran support, mentoring other female veterans facing discrimination, and developing new protocols for military trauma treatment, demonstrating that service continues beyond the uniform. Sarah's choice was clear. She declined media interviews and book deals, returning to anonymous service with renewed purpose. She accepted speaking engagements at veteran organizations, maintaining a delicate balance between privacy and advocacy, continuing to build bridges between the military and civilian worlds. A week later, Sarah boarded another flight, sitting in coach, the same humble demeanor as before. She noticed a veteran struggling with a PTSD episode and quietly intervened with professional crisis counseling, demonstrating that heroism is a daily choice, not a single moment. The lasting impact of that one flight was undeniable. The group stayed in contact. Marcus's company became a model for veteran employment. Colonel Mitchell championed change within the military. Rebecca Sterling's advocacy reached millions, and Captain Torres became a respected mentor to junior officers. Sarah's greatest victory wasn't surviving Operation Nightfall. It was choosing to rebuild rather than retreat, transforming trauma into purpose for others, and creating systemic change through individual relationships. She proved that true leadership serves others, not self. The story ended where it began. Sarah on an airplane, the same external appearance, yet a completely different internal reality. From hiding to healing, from victim to victor, demonstrating that transformation is an ongoing process and that real change happens through consistent daily choices. Sarah Chen continued her work in the shadows, known to those who needed her, invisible to those who didn't, building a network of support through quiet action. She honored her fallen teammates through ongoing service, demonstrating that true heroism is sustained commitment. Widow 27 became a symbol of resilience and grace. Other veterans adopted her model of service after service, her story inspiring systemic changes in military culture, proving that one person's courage can transform many lives, and showing that real victory is measured in lives touched, not battles won.
Hi, mình là Daisy đây. Mình hy vọng tập này của series A Simple Woman đã chạm đến trái tim của các bạn. Thật lòng, mình rất cảm kích tất cả các bạn đã ủng hộ kênh. Hãy share cho bạn bè nếu cảm thấy tập này ý nghĩa nhé.